What's up YouTube? I'm Vaughn and this is the Gear channel where we discuss collectibles, hobbies, competitive games from tabletop to video games, and today we are reviewing my black anti-meta deck. Now definitely it's very familiar with the Digimon deck, but we did change it severely, so now it's quite well, especially with today's meta decks. The only downside is that it loses severely to blue hybrid, so if your locals have a ton of blue hybrid players, I would not recommend playing this deck, but if there's none, then all means have fun with it. So first, friendly reminder to definitely like and subscribe, and especially subscribe if you guys want to enter an amazing giveaway for the booster box of the winner's choosing for Digimon. So let's get started. So starting with the eggs. So we're playing the same Bagumon, so at 4. And for our 5th Digi egg, we have the nice little Sumemon. So this is actually quite good, especially that we have a lot of copies at 4s in this deck, so it's actually very easy to gain that plus 2000 DP. Now for the rookies, we do have 4 Chumons, and this is our only main memory thing that we're actually playing, because we're not playing the other one that we played last time that actually stops players from ignoring the Digivolution, because it's not really that good unless if you're against like anything that warp digivolves like Agumon, Bond of Friendship, or Gabumon as well. So it's not that impactful for today's meta, so it's better off to put stuff that's actually more useful. So next we do have 4 Tori Agumons, because especially we do have a Wincon in this deck, so it's definitely very good with a lot of our other key cards to actually give them reboot, so we could actually unsuspend them, and especially that those Digimon do have blocking as well, so it becomes very impactful. Next we have 3 Gatsumon, so we're only playing 3. I don't think it's necessary to play more than that, because we're not usually digivolving it. We're actually hard playing, because one thing about this deck is it gains so much memory. There's many times, majority of the games, you are going to start with 7 memories, maybe sometimes a bit less or more, but frequently playing this a lot, I realize that you pretty much set yourself for 7 memory consistently. So then we have the level 4, so we have a 4 Gardromon. So this one is quite well because it's 7 DP and only 2. It's our only level 4 Digimon that we have with a play cost of 5. So it doesn't really play that well, but for a blocker, it's very important to actually have. Sadly, I just wish the play cost was 4, but I'm looking around. Maybe I might change it for another blocker that's level 4. If I could find one with a play cost of 4, definitely would use that instead. Then we have our 4 Fridges, which is amazing. Play cost of 4, easy to play this guy for free many single time, and also he's just a tyrant when he blocks and deletes the Digimon unsuspended, so definitely it's a very big threat against most decks, and most players not really too sure what to do against it, and especially that we do have stuff to increase the DP of him, so a lot of cards that might deal like 6 DP won't really affect it, and he would still be survived on the board, so it's definitely a very hard card to get rid of. Then we have our 4 Mechmon to make it even harder to get rid of our blockers. So now we're just playing the Mechmons and not the Maimons, because Mechmon is play cost of 4. It's very easy to just hard play it or digivolve it. And also, like, we just want the extra decoy block, so if any of our blockers or our main stuff gets actually deleted, or even our Chumon, we could delete the Mechmon instead. Now finally, for our last level 4s, this is our Rincon, Skull Knight Cavalry Mode. Now if you're not familiar with this, first off, you could digivolve it over a level 4 for a play cost of 1. When he digivolve, he gains jamming plus blocker, so for the reboot for the Tori Agumon, it's actually quite good, because especially that you could actually attack, he has jamming and then unsuspended, so he's a very valuable blocker on your opponent's turn, but also we have stuff to actually increase his security, so then he could actually potentially be a jammer with 2 checks or even more. So this is actually her main win con with the deck, is that we just actually play this guy, Digivolve, and then just start beating over our opponent's security. And as we have a full board of blockers, it's hard for our opponent to do the same to us. Next, now, surprisingly, we don't have any other level 5, so this is the only one that I consider as a level 5, but it's a level 4. But we actually don't play any level 5 because we're trying to spam the board as fast as possible. But we do have one level 6, which is Avenged Kidmon. Now, we're playing 3 of these because against a lot of decks, this is actually very good, especially if you're against any trash decks or Musketeers as well, or Creepymon. You could literally screw up the whole plays, especially. And also, we do play a lot of option cards, so we could actually just return our own stuff and actually just hard play him. And this is actually a really good card to actually end the game with the security if we jam it with all our opponent's security and then we attack for game. So definitely a very strong card, and honestly, I've been seeing a lot of meta decks playing these now because it's such a good matchup against the majority of the decks. Now we have our tamers, so we are playing 4 Izzy and Joe. Now definitely you need to play 4 of this card because it's very easy to gain so much memory with it. So as soon as I have this, it's so easy to have 2 out, and if we have the tie that sets our memory at 7 consistently. If we have more, then we could go to even 10 memory. So it's a very strong card. I'm surprised not many decks, black decks, are playing it, but for a deck that actually stalls and fills the board with blockers, it's very easy to actually gain memory with this card. And also, it really impacts your opponent to try and not to put too much bodies on the board if they see this right away. So it definitely changes a lot of strategy. So very good card. Next, we do have 3 ties. So tie is very good because yes, it's a memory tamer, so sets our memory to 3, but also on our opponent's turn, again, all our Digimon gains 1000 DP, which is very strong, especially that if we have some of our blockers, okay, and we have multiple ties, they could be some very high blockers, so it definitely hits our opponent very hard. And also a lot of people, even when I explained that I actually make our Digimon gain 1000, a lot of people just forget. They're already too intense because they have to deal with too many blockers, so they do actually misplays and they forget about the tie again. So definitely it's a very strong card and it really helps the deck a lot. And then finally we do have a Jokido, which could also be a replace for a extra tie if I had another one. But also I do like Joe because if we have a blocker, we gain 1 memory. So you can actually like spam it and actually increase a lot more memory. So I do like it. Maybe I might take it out for another tie, but so far I am happy with it at 1. And also it only a play cost of 2, so it's very easy. So next we have the options. So we do have 4 Pride Memory Boosts. Since the majority of our Digimon are actually a play cost of 4, except for only 2 of them, which is the Gardromon and the Kidmon. But everything else we can actually play with Pride Memory Boost very easily. And if you notice theme, the whole deck is pretty much 4 memories, which makes it very possible. And also gives us a little bit of control, because if we could actually set our memory to 3, if we have 7 and we play one of this, puts us to 3 memory, and then play it again, our opponent only has 1 memory. So it actually does quite a bit of a memory control if your opponent doesn't have a memory tamer. So you can actually start spamming the board and just keep on giving your opponent only 1 memory. Next, we have the amazing board wipe, which is the ultimate flare, which pretty much de-digivolve for 3 and then blows everything up with a cost of 3 or less, a play cost. So definitely it's really good against multiple decks, and especially any VMon decks. You just go, you're like, okay, cool, de-digivolve and then blow up all the VMons. But it's definitely a very impact card, and definitely it's a board wipe. And honestly, 8 does not seem that high since we're already getting like 7 memories. So putting our opponent to 1 memory and playing this just to wipe the board, we don't care because we have a full amount of blockers, so we're pretty all set. Next, we have 2 Spider Shooters, which is just de-digivolve for 1, so it definitely helps with a lot of situations, and it trashes. And if you notice why we're focusing on more de-digivolutions is because if we're against cards that have abilities during deletions, and especially with the Mastermon decks, they do have a lot of stuff that could actually trigger for deletion. So the Digivolutions actually help because it trashes, doesn't delete, so we could actually get rid of boards without worrying about follow-up plays or any triggers. So that's why we're focusing on a lot of the Digivolutions. And then finally we have 2 Beast Cyclone, which also helps with the Cavalry Mon. So if we actually have this with the Cavalry, so if we digivolve this and then we play these, now he has jamming with plus security, and also it's for blockers and reboot. So if we have Tori Agumon underneath it, that Digimon constantly gains the reboot, so we can actually play it and increase our other Digimon as well. And that's it for a deck profile. If you guys enjoyed today's video, definitely like and subscribe, and especially subscribe if you guys want to enter an amazing giveaway. And if you want a sneak peek of future products we're planning to review here on the channel, you can follow me on my Instagram, VaughnGear. I'm Vaughn, and this was the Gear Channel.